Welcome. Over to you.
Siganya Mabagi Thibaba. How many of you have heard this song before? Okay, Toastmaster Rehna. What about others? Such a famous song from the movie The Lion King. Now, I may have sung it in a different way, probably. That is why you might not have understood what the song is all about. But let me tell you, this has got nothing to do with our presentation, but yet it has got something to do with the module today. Toastmaster of the day, the energetic Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and my dear friends, good evening to each one of you. Content, they say, is the king. But do you think that a content can be successful if you do not present it effectively? An average content can be a great speech content if the speaker presents it with power, conviction, and charisma. So it is very important to understand the techniques of speech delivery to make your content even more powerful. How many of you are a long-time Toastmaster or a seasoned contestant taking part in different contests? All right. Now, if you look at the judging criteria, I will talk a little about judging criteria. If you look at the judging criteria, we have got 30 points for delivery, speech delivery. Now, when it comes to speech delivery, it is all about two things: our voice and our body, the physical part. So let me talk about voice. What is voice modulation? We hear a lot about voice modulation, right? Now, when we give a speech, people would come to say that, it was a great speech, but you know what? You did not modulate your voice well. What do you, as a speaker, understand by voice modulation? You can unmute yourself and give me an answer, or you can type it in the chat box.
Maybe talk in different volume.
Different volume, okay. And?
Emphasize certain statements based on how impactful they are.
All right, okay.
Voice intonation, enunciations, getting emotion into your voice.
Manipulate your voice.
Okay.
Nuances of your voice.
Okay. Now, before I explain what voice modulation is all about, there are two things you have to take care of when it comes to voice in speaking. One is voice quality and other is voice modulation. And let me remind you that these two are two different things. Voice quality. It does not matter if you have a voice like Morgan Freeman or Amitabh Bachchan, or you have a thin, feeble voice. You can still become a powerful speaker if you have quality in your voice. Now, in order to bring some quality in your voice, you need to have three things. Number one is volume, which means you should be loud enough to be heard by everybody sitting in that room. You need to have a powerful throw of your voice. Now, that does not mean that you have to scream or shout, but the throw of your voice should be such that every person sitting in that big hall or small room should be able to hear you. So number one is volume or loudness. The second element to have quality in your voice is clarity, which means whatever you are saying, the words that are coming out of your mouth should be understood by the people sitting in that room. So you might be having a very loud voice, But if you're speaking fast, or if you have an accent, there are chances that you lack clarity in your voice. So make sure that every word you utter is understood by your audience. Now, the third element to bring some quality in your voice, and this is the most important element, is to have expressiveness. What is expressiveness? Somebody just mentioned to have expressions in your voice. Guys, every word has some sort of emotion. So when I say that I'm so happy to be here, now that happiness should be felt in your voice. Oh my God, such a bad weather, and my voice goes down. So that sadness should be felt in my voice. So in order to bring expressions in your voice, we need to first understand the emotion in the words or emotion in the stories. So when you say, wow, what? Have you gone crazy? Oh my God. You will beat me? Now, sarcasm. So try to understand the emotions that the words carry and bring those expressions in your voice. So when you will have these three elements in your voice, we can say that your voice has got some quality: loudness, clarity, expressiveness. Now let us move on to voice modulation. Voice modulation is nothing but controlling your voice. And that controlling your voice depends a lot on, who can tell me? Controlling the voice depends a lot on, fill in the blanks. Who can fill that blank?
Your breath. Your
Breath. Exactly. Toastmaster Abhinav, you said it. It depends a lot on your breathing. Before you understand the control of your voice, or before you understand voice modulation, you need to first understand whether you breathe the correct way or not. We all breathe through our chest, unfortunately. The correct breathing is when we breathe from our stomach. So when we breathe in, the air must fill the stomach, and then the breath should go out. And in order to breathe correctly, you need to stand correctly, which means you need to have a correct posture. So stand straight, chin up, shoulders up, stomach in, and then you do your breathing. So when you will breathe correct in the correct way, your voice will come out effectively. And when you control that breathing while speaking, that means you can modulate your voice. So voice modulation, again, three elements, or I call it 3 P's. P, pitch, pace, pause. Pitch, pace, pause. Very easy to remember. So the pitch is nothing but the highs and lows of your voice, how high your voice can go and how low it can come. So when you have that control on your breathing, you can control that highness and the lowness in your voice. So when I'm excited to see Toastmaster Rehna, my voice goes up. And when I'm sad, depressed, my voice has to come down. So the wave that my voice is making is known as the pitch of my voice. The second thing is pace. Ideally, the average speed, pace is speed. So the average speed of a human being talking, they say, is 120 words in a minute. Some people tend to speak faster. Some people tend to speak slow. But when we are speaking on the stage, in order to bring clarity in our voice, we need to have a pace between 90 to 100 words in a minute. Not 120, but somewhere between 90 to 100 words in a minute. That is when we can say that, the pace is correct. There is clarity in his voice. The last element in voice modulation is pause. is the most important element. Somebody has correctly said that the great stories happen between the pauses. So when you take a pause at the right place, at the right time, it creates greater impact. But the problem with us is we have so many things to say that we keep on talking in a 7-minute speech. We keep on talking. We keep on talking. We do not give enough time to pause. To understand the importance of pauses, we need to understand where should we take a pause and how long that pause should be. So your first pause should happen before you speak. The first pause should happen before you speak, and I call it 4S. That technique is known as 4S, which means whenever you are called upon onto the stage or onto the screen, do not start immediately. Follow this 4S. The first S, stand. First S is stop. Okay, stand. Then stare. Look at everybody. Then smile. Look at everybody and smile. And then speak. So even if you are on the screen or on the stage, take some time to do this exercise. Stop, stare, smile, speak. So that first pause should happen before you speak. The second pause in your speech should happen after the introduction. So once your introduction is over, take a small pause because the audience should understand that the introduction is now over and the speaker is moving from the introduction to the main body or the main story of the speech. Now, coming to the body of the speech, you should pause after a question. So wherever you have a question, take a small pause after that because the audience should understand your question. Though they won't give you a reply, but they will reply in their mind. You need to give them time to think and respond. The next pause should happen after funny statements or sentences or after humor. But if you have something humorous, please pause. Let them understand the humor and laugh. Pause whenever you have a powerful statement or a powerful message in the speech. Take a pause. Let the audience digest that message. Take a pause when you have dialogues. So if you have characters in the story and you have given dialogues to those characters, take a pause after dialogues because audience should understand who spoke when. There should not be any confusion. Take a pause before the conclusion so that the transition is smooth and clear. Now the question here is, how long should I pause? So there are two types of pauses, a small pause and a long pause. A small pause happens between 3 to 4 seconds. And a long pause can go up to 6 to 8 seconds. Now you may ask me, Nisha, how will I know it's 2 to 4 or 6 to 8? Should I check it in my watch or should I keep a timer to check that? No, you need to count in your mind. And this is especially for new members who have just started speaking. Count in your mind. So when I come onto the screen and sing this song that Nan Siganya Babagiti Baba. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many of you have heard this song before? Jump on to the next sentence. So count in your mind. Now, seasoned speakers, they know. With their speaking experience, they know how long to pause. But for new members, this is one of the techniques that you can incorporate to speak better, especially when it comes to pauses. So this was all about voice, how you can play with your voice. Now, let me tell you, voice modulation is not about changing your voice as per the character. Some people think that when you change your voice, when you give some special voice to the character, oh, wow, great voice modulation. No, you can still use the same voice, but you need to control your voice. Now let's move on to the second element in speech delivery, your body. And beware, your body speaks. So even when you are prepared, you have prepared well, you have practiced your speech well, but when you get onto the stage, there are chances that your body conveys a completely different message to the audience. Your movements, the way you stand may tell your audience that he or she is not very confident. So beware of your body movements. And in order to have effective body language, we need to understand the elements of body language. Number one is posture. Posture is the way how we position ourselves when we stand or sit. And I already explained that why posture is important, because posture helps in correct breathing, and correct breathing will help you in having an effective voice. So your correct posture means stand straight, shoulders straight, chin up, stomach in. Please stand in a correct posture, not only when you're speaking, but every time when you're standing or when you're sitting. That is good for your body. So posture. Second element in body language is facial expression. When it comes to speaking, oh my God, facial expressions play an important role, especially when you're speaking on the screen. Because when you're speaking on the screen, all you have is your face. So you need to bring expressions on your face. How many expressions are there in this world? Different types of facial expressions. How many different types of facial expressions are there? Research says there are 160,000 facial expressions.
Wow.
Now we who come from India and other Asian countries, we are aware of 9 facial expressions, right? We call it Navarasa. Which are based on 9 different emotions. So as I said earlier, every word carries an emotion. When you bring that emotion, the expression in your voice, the same expression should come on your face. So when I say, I'm so happy, now bring a smile on your face. I cannot say, oh, I'm so happy to be here tonight. Yesterday, my brother met with an accident. No, you can't do that. So make sure that you understand the content and bring the same expression on your face. The third thing is, the third element in body language, especially in speaking, is eye contact. Eye contact, looking at your audience or maintaining eye contact with your audience. Now things have changed. We have moved from stage to screen. So eye contact has also changed. Now here, when I'm talking to you, you all are there on the screen. In order to maintain eye contact with you, I need to look directly into the camera. Now, there are a lot of people. Toastmaster Rehna is on the right side of my screen. So if I look at Toastmaster Rehna and talk to her, neither Toastmaster Rehna nor anybody else would get the feel that I'm having an eye contact. So when it comes to contest or speaking in your club meeting, please, in order to maintain eye contact, look directly into the camera and speak. But what would you do if you're speaking, if you're standing on the stage and the room is full of people sitting in different directions? How will you maintain eye contact then? In that case, just divide the hall in 3 to 4 directions. And in each direction, you pick 2 people from the front, 2 from the back, Same in each direction. So whenever you look at that direction, you maintain eye contact with those two people sitting in the front and those two people sitting at the back. So this is how you can maintain eye contact or pretend to maintain eye contact when you're speaking on the stage. And this way, it will give you confidence, because if you are maintaining eye contact with somebody you know, then the chances are there that you will feel less nervous. So that was eye contact. The fourth element, very important element in body language, is gestures. Gestures are the movements of your hands, head, and shoulder. And speaking on the screen, when you're speaking on the screen, gestures play an important role. When I say, wow, great audience, or when I'm using my gesture, it creates an impact. But again, when you use gestures, you have to make sure that it looks natural. It should look natural, it should be as per the content, and it should be timely. So natural, people should not think, oh my God, so much of acting. It should be as per the content. So if the content says that a small boy, a small box, make sure that you are using the gesture as per the content, and it should be timely. So when I say that he was a tall boy, now the moment I say tall, my hand should go up. It should not be that I said, oh, he was a tall man, and then after 1 second I realized, oh my God, okay, and then I'm lifting my, no, it should be timely. So it should come at the same time. And here there are different types of gestures, but mainly in speaking, we use two types of gestures most of the time. One is descriptive. And descriptive, as the word says itself, it's very clear. Descriptive gestures are those gestures that are used to describe a person, a place, or thing. So when I say that it was a small box, okay, my hand movement is describing that object. Oh, she was a fat lady, right? That was a huge stone. So these gestures describe a person or a place or a thing. The second commonly used gesture in speaking is prompting gesture. Prompting gestures that are used to get a response from the audience. Okay, so when I say that, how many of you are on Facebook? Now I have raised my hand to get a response from you. So I'm prompting you to give me a response. So when I say shh, now I'm prompting you to keep quiet. Prompting gestures. So these two are the commonly used gestures in speaking. And the last element in body language is body movement, how you move or how you move your body when you are speaking. Again, screen speaking, stage speaking. When it comes to screen speaking, there is a disadvantage because you will not have enough space to move. There, all you have is your voice and your face and your gestures. Okay, so if you know how to play with your gestures and with the help of your camera angle, even if you move a little bit, it makes a great impact. But if you are on the stage, you have to literally choreograph your movement, which means you have to position your characters and position your story properly on the stage. So for example, if you're narrating a story where you're talking about your school days and then you talk about your college days, now two different stories are happening in your speech. So make sure that you use the stage in a way that you have one side as your school and one side as your college. The moment you move to one area, people would automatically understand that, okay, now this gentleman is talking about his school. Now he is moving on to the college. Same with characters. So if you introduce a character who has no movements in the story, so when I say that my 7-year-old son, now my 7-year-old son is on the right-hand side. So whenever I talk about my 7-year-old son, he should be on the right side, unless and until he has some movements in the story. So positioning of the story, positioning of the characters, and the movements, again, should be natural and as per the content. Just because somebody said that you must move on the stage does not mean that you have to literally run on the stage from left to right. No, move with a purpose. And when you convey an important message, pause while speaking and pause your movement as well. Very, very important. And in body language, it is also important to take care of your appearance. So when I say appearance, it is not about what you are wearing, but how you are exhibiting or displaying your confidence on the stage. And that is why we look at some people and say, oh my God, what a stage presence, right? Because of the confidence they carry on the stage. So even if you're not confident, fake it until you make it. So these are some of the speech delivery tips that I could offer to you, I could give you from my own experience. Now I'm opening the floor for question and answer session. If you have anything to ask me, please feel free. If there are no questions,
DTM Nisha, about the last statement that you make, fake it until you make it. How? I mean, if you're not confident anyways in speaking, how do we fake that?
All right, concentrate on the posture. Can you do that? Yeah, breathe in, breathe out. Okay, so when you maintain that posture, you will look confident, number one. Second, to have more confidence, if you go on to YouTube, you will find a TED Talk by Amy Cuddy on the power pose. Okay, the power pose is nothing but the pose that Superman takes, hands on the hips. Okay, so these are some ways of faking confidence. At least you should look confident. Now, only you know that you are nervous. Why do you have to show it to others by biting your nails and wiping your forehead and all those things? Kali, just stand there in correct posture. Okay, breathe in, breathe out. Even then, if you are feeling anxious about going onto the stage and speaking, eat a banana. Yeah, banana has potassium that would help calm your stress levels. That has been proved in a research for public speakers. So half an hour before your presentation, eat a banana, eat one. Don't make a mistake of eating two or too many bananas, okay? So these are certain, few things that you can do to have that confidence. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. I find whenever I'm speaking with a mic, when I can hear myself from the speakers, I kind of lose track of what exactly I'm speaking, because there's a delay from when I say something and I hear it back from the speaker, the microphone. So are there any tips whenever you're presenting with a mic and a speaker, how to block out the noise, or is it not something that's very common?
No. See, that is actually a technical thing, okay? And last year when we were competing, and many of the contestants had the same problem, so they had asked us to cover the room with cushions and curtains and towels, so that you don't get that echo effect, you don't get that effect. That is one way. Second way was to I remember somebody had told me to use some blockers. You get it on Amazon, I believe, the earphone blockers. These are known as earphone blockers. So when you speak, you do not hear that sound, because it's a technical thing. It's not your fault. You can't do anything. You can only talk. This is some of the technical things of, about the device. So these are, one thing is you can cover, you should not be speaking in an empty room. At least you have cushions or sofa, a room filled with furniture where you can keep your mobile phone or laptop and adjust the camera and speak. And the other thing is one blocker. I will just try to get that from my mentor, and I'll share it with Rena ma'am. And don't worry about that, because it's technical thing. You can't do much about it. If there are no more questions, then I will hand the control back to the Toastmaster of the day.
To increase the conference.
1 minute left or 5 minutes left? Sorry.
No, you can continue.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So I think there are no more questions, and I wish all of you all the very best. Those who are going to compete, prepare well. Have a look at the judging criteria. That is more important. Any speech can become a winning speech if it meets the criteria. Remember that. People always complain that, okay, my speech was better than their speech. Why didn't I win? Because the other person's speech met the judging criteria. It's as simple as that. So best of luck, and back to the Toastmaster of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.